Welcome to It's All About the Hunt. I'm Nate, and today I'm going to be looking at my free comic book day haul. So, free comic book day just happened back on May the 2nd, and I went to one of my local comic shops and picked up some books. It's one of the biggest comic book days of the year, and I had a lot of fun going over there. Now, I only had about 30 minutes on the clock when I was there, so it was a quick shop. However, I feel like I did pretty well. So, I'm going to show you what books I picked up. The only thing I really was able to do was hit the dollar bins. So they had a whole bunch sitting out on some tables outside. So they had 15 comics for $10, and something was telling me to dig through those books. I only really went there because I've been on a trading card kick and they had 25% off cards. So I'll show you what I grabbed for that too in this video. But anyway, something was calling me to go through these dollar bins, and I was like, all right, I only had about 30 minutes, like I said. And I started digging, started finding a couple books. I'm like, oh, that's worth a buck, you know, kind of thing. And then I hit the big boy. So we'll talk through all the books that I picked up. First one, Geiger #1. Now this is the cover C. It was one of those books that I just didn't have in my collection already. So I was like, all right, I'll grab it. It turned out to be 75 cents a piece, so you can't go wrong. Nice copy, Geiger #1. I always like to grab a lot of the indie books. Let me just set this off to the side real quick. Picked up Spread, issue #5. The cool thing about Spread, issue #5, and it happens to do with me, they actually took like some artists on this first issue, and probably a little bit dated now, but you know, got my artwork in the back. So it's one of my first pieces of art that popped up in a comic book, an actual published comic. So I grab them every once in a while just because I think it's kind of cool that I had art in there. So grab the Spread #5. The next little stack is all the free comic book day comics. So they had a 2026 sketchbook for the Stormbreakers, which some of the artists are awesome, and I love, like, Simone DeMeo is one that I've been picking up a lot of his work. He's done a lot of DC stuff. He's now doing some Marvel stuff. He's got this really awesome style where it has that foreshortening that I was talking about. One of the things I've been practicing in my art recently. A lot of other really dope artists. So anyway, it's like a cool little Stormbreaker sketchbook. Get some previews, get some spreads. Next one is The Name She Lost, Ainana. Didn't know much about it. I saw a couple posts about it recently, so I was like, that's kind of cool. A Next Level DC book, of course. I usually always try to grab the Kodansha books because they usually have like anime. You know, we got Blue Lock, another one. Dragon Circus will be in here, featuring Dragon Circus. So sometimes those can be pretty good hits. Energon Universe, you got Mask, Matt Tracker, pretty dope. Love a good Mega Man Showdown special. The Avengers Armageddon. And the hot book of Free Comic Book Day, I think, was Dungeon Crawler Carl, based on the book series. They did have a really badass cover that's actually blown up. It was a Vault exclusive on their website, and it was like the absolute Batman, but it was Dungeon Crawler Carl in that same pose, which kind of blew up. Back to the dollar books. I pick these up quite often. The like animated series from the 80s and the 90s that Marvel did. King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. Granted, it's not something that probably will blow up. Amongst the same line of Cops and Crooks and, you know, even some of the like 80s ones, Silverhawks, Thundercats, all those. You never know. It's just one of the things that I pick up. One I didn't have. Soulfire, I picked up #1 and issue #5. Issue #5 sells for a couple bucks, so it's just got some of that awesome Michael Turner art. Picked up a Soul Saga. So again, just dollar books. You know, some of them are dollar books. They were in a dollar bin. Some of them I needed for my collection. 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank. If you haven't read this series, it was awesome. I had a different cover of it, so I was like, I'm going to grab that cover because it was pretty dope. Scud, somehow I was missing 21, but I had 22 through 24, and had to pick that up. It's a dope Ashley Wood cover. Proctor Valley Road, this is one that was optioned at one point and, you know, spiked up a little bit, but it's back down to $2 bin, right? However, I grabbed one just in case. You never know when things are optioned and then they pop back up, and for 75 cents, I'll take that gamble. The Pulse, #11, you get the first cover appearance of Daniela Cage. She's not in the book at all, but shows up on the cover. Now, it's not the one, you think 13's the one that blew up recently because of, if you don't know, you should know. Spoiler alert, in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. So, Phantom Star Killer, another one that's just like this cool, weird story, but I always dug it because it kind of reminded me of like, you know, Star Wars, a little bit of Darth Vader mixed with all kinds of things. I don't know, the like design was always so cool. Figured I'd pick it up. I think it's one of the variant covers. Adam Hughes, only reason I bought this one. So again, I was limited on time and I'm going, I need to find 2 more for my 15, and this was one of those ones I grabbed. I always grab Adam Hughes stuff. He's one of the, you know, most iconic artists out there right now, and he does some amazing work. Super Dinosaur, #1, so it's a Kirkman, right? You know, Invincible, Walking Dead, all those things. But I figured I'd grab that because, again, 75 cents, you can't go wrong. Now, these were not from that. I got one more book from that 15, but these came from a buddy of mine, actually. Hooked me up with his dope-ass G.I. Joe variant cover. And it's one of those negative space variants, you know, Storm Shadow with the white background, but it's just super tough. It's dope. And one of the 30-cent variant covers that I did not have for Avengers number 149. So pretty cool to grab both of those. And the big grab for the day, out of the dollar bin, Noble Causes #3. And if you don't know, it's got the first cover of Invincible. It's got Invincible inside. It's kind of a pricey little book. So finding that in the dollar bin for the 15 for $10, I was like, yes, please. So that's why I stayed, and I kept digging, and I found a couple other things, and I just started grabbing stuff at the one point because I'm like, I gotta meet people, I gotta go. But super stoked. Like, something was telling me, go dig in that dollar bin, and I did, and it turned out to be a good choice. So, let me know, guys, what's your best pull from a dollar bin? Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know, because I've hit some pretty awesome things in my time. Don't ever walk away from them. Sometimes people just skim them. Some people don't. But if you get in there and you're like one book at a time going through, you can find some really rad stuff. Especially in this market, not everybody knows every book, right? Depends on what you're hunting for. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't, but it's always a fun thing to do. It's all about the hunt, and that's what the segment's called. And then the main thing I went for, you know, been on a Pokemon kick, so I'll just show it anyway because they had 25% off, so it ended up being like 35 bucks. A little more than retail, but still not too bad. 5 packs of Ascended Hero, so you got the First Partners Deluxe Pin Collection with the Totodile, T-Pig, and Chikorita, so couldn't turn that down. Thought it was pretty cool. Alright, so that was my free comic book day haul. How was yours? Let me know in the comment below. What'd you get? What'd you pick up? What was your best grabs of the day? Thank you guys so much for that. If you want to see more of my collecting journey, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Click that button right down below. And if you like this, let me know it by clicking that like button right next to that. Thank you, thank you. It's much, much appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, I'm Nate. This was That's All About the Hunt, and I'll catch you on the next hunt.